we are going to just do a quick picking first team All-NBA. So as a quick reminder, first team All-NBA, and actually all the All-NBA spots are positionless. They've been positionless for the last few years. And so it's just picking your 5 best players. I'm going to start by asking you this, DJ. How many automatics were there for you that you did not need to think about?
I didn't. So I had 2 that were right off the bat. They're on my team, and then I had 2 more that I didn't have to think that hard about. The 5th one is where I had the most trouble of getting in there, but I was really confident with 4 of them. Actually, I feel there's 4 players that have separated themselves from the group.
I find it interesting that you designated because I have 4 too. I find it interesting that you had a designation of 2 and 1. I think for me, and I think probably for a lot of people, it's 2 and 2. For me, a lot of people, I think it's 3 and 1, maybe. I'll just say Jokic and SGA, I'm sure were no-brainers for you. You do not have Giannis quite in that same category, I guess.
I don't have Giannis on my team right now. Now I don't even have words for that. Talk to me. This is great. This is a hot take. Well, as you said, SGA and Jokic were locks. After that, I'm just I'm thinking like who have been the other best 3 players that have had the biggest impact on their respective teams. And to me, I couldn't make this team without putting Wembanyama on it. I couldn't.
Wemby is one of my. In my mind, it's Jokic, SGA, Giannis 3rd, then a little gap, then Wemby 4th. Wemby is your 3rd. Okay.
So he was my 3rd. I felt really confident with him. And then I think the 4th guy that I ended up looking at, and it took me a few minutes, but I was like, yeah, this guy has to be there. And I feel like he's being overlooked a little bit because he's just been at this level now for a couple of years and maybe hasn't taken like the next step to be a true, like he's going to win the MVP this year. But to me, Tatum has to be on the roster based on the consistency, what he does on both ends. I feel like for the Celtics, he clearly, to me, makes them go based on his gravity. And now that his passing has gotten to a level to where he can make sort of all the wing passes that star wings that need to make to really weaponize their gravity on the ball. So to me, he felt like the 4th guy that both sides of the floor can guard center. It's like he really makes their versatility on defense go, and offensively goes without saying like how impactful he is as a scorer, as a spacer, as a self-creator.
So I don't know how many guys in NBA history this is true of Tatum's caliber. He has been in the league. This is his 8th year. He has raised his assist percentage every single year he's been in the league. I'm just going to go through real quick. 8.1, 9.9, 14.3, 19.5, 20.5, 20.5. So the same for 2 years. 21.2. This year, 24.1. That is, I mean, for forwards in the league, it's 92nd percentile according to Clean the Glass. But 24% assist percentage for a guy that size and who brings that much on defense. And obviously he's that efficient and that has that usage. That's insane. Like, it's not Luka, but it's like the next tier down of guys that size, which is, it's wild.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And Jaylen Brown has had a similar, maybe not in the same progression year after year, but he's improved so much as a passer. It's a really important part of like how the Celtics are able to generate offense and how that driving kick game really is almost impossible to stop when they're making shots. Did you consider him so did you make your 5?
We just talked about my 5. Tatum begrudgingly, because I'd love to be able to make the case for Towns. There are maybe 1 or 2 other guys I think maybe you could make a straight face argument about. Anthony Davis doesn't quite get there for me. I don't even know if I have Anthony Davis in my starting 5 for the All-Star game. Towns honestly might be the closest one to being in the conversation, but again, what have we talked about all year with the Knicks? We talked about how they need to figure it out on defense, and why they need to figure it out on defense. It's to make up for Towns. So might be a top 3-4 offensive player in the sport this year, but there's the other side of the ball. And again, we're talking about the 5 best players in the sport. So like Tatum is my 5th. I'm fascinated that you do not have Giannis and it doesn't even sound like he's in consideration for your 5th.
Well, he was definitely my 6th, but to me, I did hem and haw on this one a little bit.
Okay,
you did talk about my 5th, and I landed on Towns as my 5th guy.
That's unbelievable. Talk to me.
I'll sell it in this way. I do think the defense has been a concern. I think he's probably had more of an impact on the positive end than he's been given credit for, because his defensive rebounding has been so integral of them just staying above water, that I think he deserves credit in that regard, that he has been the best defensive rebounder in the NBA. And it's not just him cleaning up on uncontested rebounds. You look at his contested rebound percentage, he's among the leaders. Like, he has been everything you could have asked for on that end. And it's defensive rebounding, it's low fouls, and it's really those two aspects, like second chance points and not fouling other teams. Those are the two things that this defense has to hold their hat on. And I think that he's a big part of that. And then on offense, he just is, he's incredible. Like, and I know we have these, and it's funny. So we have these ideas of like, why isn't he more dominant against wings in terms of his post game, and why can't they weaponize him in that area? And that is certainly something they have to figure out. But this is a regular season award. I think that question about him against wings is more of a playoff question that they have to answer. But in the regular season, he is just so dominant, and his efficiency is absurd right now. And the only criticism of that is you hope he would take more threes, but he's just been everything you could have asked for. And he is just, his impact with Bridges and Anunoby, their cutting, and Hart, especially his cutting as well. Like, there's just so many things he's doing that I felt like I didn't ding him on defense as much as maybe I could have, based on his defensive rebounding has been so elite this year.